Hello, everybody, and this is Auntie, and we're going to be talking about Patrick. You just might not like me after this, but just know that I still love you.
Everybody needs a sweet old auntie. Thank you, subscribers, and my nieces and nephews, and all of y'all who have been here through the long haul. Shall we get into it? Oh, yes, we shall. It's time for auntie advice. Sweet old. It's time for auntie advice. Oh, yeah. It's time for auntie advice. Sweet old auntie advice.
So, hello, everybody, and this is Auntie. If this is your first time being here, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And to all of my new subscribers, thank you all so much for hitting that subscribe button and joining this family. To all of my nieces, nephews, and my members who have been here with me for the long haul, thank you all so much for your continued support. Y'all, I'm so sick of Patrick. I don't know what to do. As you all know, we have just wrapped up Love is Blind season 9. I thought it was, in my opinion, the worst, the worst season of Love is Blind. But we're going to talk about that because we're going to laugh, gag, and drag in the next video. But I just wanted to say he has gotten on my nerve playing the victim role with Casey. Now, I know that this is an unpopular opinion, so hear me all the way out before you get mad at me, because I just got some things that I just needed to point out about Patrick. So Patrick was in, the cube, of course, of in the pod, and he was liking two different women. The first woman that he liked, she ended up ghosting him because she said that allegedly, she said that her parents thought that, something had happened to her because she secretly went on to this show. So this was the woman that he was actually in love with. Casey was his second choice. Now, I understand the premise of the show, and I understand that, you have multiple people that you are digging on, right? But Patrick has drug this thing out, especially with the ring. I watched the show from a perspective of I am sitting in that spot. I don't know how you watch it, but that's the perspective that I watch it from. And Patrick he's one way with one person, he's another way with someone else. So they started talking about, the breakup and everything. And we know that Casey did not handle this appropriately. However, I again am going to put myself in her shoes, knowing that, you're going to get the public backlash one way or the other. I think that oftentimes in life we find people, or we make people the underdog. And for some reason, people made Patrick the underdog and Casey the villain. And in every story, you don't have to have that, right? It makes for better TV, but you just don't have to have it. So Patrick is sitting in there. This girl has given him every sign that, in my opinion, that she's not going to be interested in him. She's already told him while they were in the pod that she was basically on the show on a dare, okay, from an ex-boyfriend or boyfriend that she has still been in contact with, who is a content creator. That was number one, the flag. But I think because the other young lady left, Patrick became desperate. I think that Patrick is one of those people who wanted to be on the show for fame and for recognition, for whatever it is. I think that Patrick had that, but a lot of people did not see it because they saw what they believed to be wrong by Casey. I am a mature woman and I know for myself, love isn't blind. The premise of this show is for them to go on there, sight unseen, fall in love with someone, get engaged, and then that is the reveal. You have the reveal where you meet the person that you have been talking to and have fallen in love with in the pod. At this time, hear me all the way out. At this time, this is when you determine for yourself whether or not love is truly blind. When you meet, you look that person in the face, and some people are able to act and pretend because they may have something else that they want to get out of the show. And some people are straight up. There is a show called 50 and Over Love is Blind. When these people meet, they automatically, because of their level of maturity, a lot of them was like, I ain't got it to do. Love, what we're trying to figure out is it blind? If it isn't blind, then it's okay. Again, Casey giving out mixed signals, not being able to handle the pressure of all of the thousands of cameras around her, ended up trying to say, okay, it's blind. But then she couldn't sleep. She made a decision. I am not going to like him past what I see. Right? The next, she talks to the producers. She makes a decision. I'm going to break it off with him. But she doesn't do it the right way. I understand. But there is nothing wrong, in my opinion, y'all, with you not being attracted to someone and saying, I ain't got this to do. But Patrick is milking it as if he has somehow been victimized by Casey. And I totally disagree. And here's why. Casey indicated on the reunion that she had reached out to him and said, hey, just checking on you, want to know how you doing, XYZ, knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. He demands, and we've seen Patrick demand and be controlling, that she has this conversation with him now. She tells Patrick, right now, you're not going to like what I have to say. Give me a couple of days to get myself together, and then we can talk. That's not good enough for Patrick. It's not good enough for him. So now we got Patrick saying, okay, she didn't do this my way, so I am going to give her the highway. He ends up telling her, let's just be friends. But then he insists on seeing her. After he has now gone to TikTok and says she was a side chick. And then in a conversation with her, call her the ex-wife. He's not a comedian. He's dry as let's just be serious. He's dry. She says, you went on TikTok and you said something. He said it was just a joke. Right? That's his first answer. Now he's doing all of this under the premise, I don't like people dragging you on social media. Patrick, the more that they dragged her, the more that they loved you. Let's just be clear about some things. So Patrick now has the upper hand in in the heart and minds of people who watched Love Is Blind, who believed that he was wronged. Now, I think that all of us, right, had a reaction to the way that Casey did it, jumping up in his arms, not being clear about what it is she had to say. But at the same time, we don't have producers and staff and gripmen and cameramen and all that. The public perception. How are you going to be? How do you do this without looking bad in the eyes of those who cover the show and those who watch the show and look at commentary about it? I have noticed over my lifetime that there is a mentality that a lot of people have, and it's called the gang up mentality. People will gang up against you, which is what the girls was doing when they were, going through, talking about Casey. It was the pile up, gang up. Casey's wrong. She's a whore. She's this. She's that. Knick knack, paddywhack. Like, right? That is real. It's real on people's jobs. It's real on people's communities. It's real. This gang up mentality that people tend to have. In saying what I am saying, I need to make sure that I repeat it over and over. Did Casey handle this correctly? No. Was there a better way of her doing this? Absolutely. But in the moment and during the time, right, you don't know how you're going to handle this. I don't believe that there is anything wrong with someone rejecting someone based on how they look. If that is where you are, if you're the type of person that you don't want a fat guy, right? Okay. I dated this guy. He used old pictures. When I met him, he was about 450 pounds. Are you kidding me? Just like, no. I immediately cut it off with him. I immediately told him to his face, but that's because I'm bold, right? And I don't have no cut cards. I told him to his face, you completely lied about who you are. And every picture and every time we talked, I don't know how he was thinning himself out, but he was thinning his. I cut it off because I have the tenacity and the audacity to just say, I don't want you. I don't like you. Like I can't do this. This is not what I'm attracted to. So love would not have been blind for me. It has never been blind for me. I am into, there's a certain preference that I have, and that's just my preference. There are people who are not attracted to me. Okay, you win some, you lose some. It is what it is. People have a preference. And Casey had a preference. She had already said in the pod that all of her siblings had been dating people who were outside of their ethnicity or race, right? This is what she was saying. She was the only one who said that the only people that I've ever dated was white, although her sister was singing and her dad, and she had mentioned that her brother was with somebody Asian or something like that, but she had never tried that for herself. This was an experiment for her. She had already had the setup. But now Patrick is out here on social media doing interviews, talking about the girl, dragging the girl, and then gets on a reunion and has to tell her, what I need you to do is apologize. I need you to take this opportunity to apologize. Motherfucker, who you talking to? Just like she said, you don't have to tell me, Patrick, how to apologize. Like he is in control of something and he has all this power over her because of the backlash that she has gotten on social media. In my opinion, Patrick took this and used this to his advantage and then says it's in the name of I'm trying to protect you. I'm on your side. No, you weren't, because she did not comply to what you had asked her to do, which was get back to her when you wanted her to get back to you. Patrick sat up there and made a joke. Okay, and every joke ain't a joke. He made a joke saying she was second choice. That's exactly what she was. Then he sits there at the reunion and says to Casey, well, your such and such was in the pause for 5 days. You were there for 10. You continue to talk to me. But he had already told the girl, right? The other girl, that if she had stayed, he would have picked her. So guess what? She was second choice. And so when you go out there and you make a jokey joke, so he gets to make jokes, but she can't. She can't make any jokes. She got to bow down and kiss the ring and give the ring back. A ring that he didn't even buy her. He didn't pay for that ring. So now he understands that he didn't pay for the ring, because I'm sure people been in his comments saying he didn't pay for the ring. And then he's just there say it's the principle of the thing. Well, the principle of the thing is that you should have waited until I had the opportunity to talk to you, or when I was going to talk to you, instead of calling me and saying, hey, you didn't do this my way. So guess what? We're going to end it, but I still want to see you. For what, Patrick? It's over. I have heard too much out of his mouth. I'm sick of hearing Patrick. And I believe that Patrick has gotten everything that he wants, because in my opinion, he's a petty and he's a liar. The truth ain't in him, and he doesn't have a right to say that he's covering someone and then makes a joke like that. First, he said it was just a joke. Then he says it was a response. Which one is it? Well, I was responding to the first TikTok that you put out there. Then say that, Patrick. Stop playing the perpetual victim. That you've been victimized by Casey, that you really love Casey. You didn't really love Casey. And as a matter of fact, when he sat down, I cannot think of the girl. I want to say her name was Anna. But when he sat down with her, she said, how can you, Patrick, say that you love me and you got engaged to someone else? And then you want something back that you didn't labor for. You didn't pay for the ring. But because of people being hurt by the way that Casey did it, had a bad taste in their mouth by the way that Casey did it, because I did. I had a bad taste in my mouth based on how she handled it. But guess what? If Auntie was on that show, I'd have told him straight then. People would have hated me. I would have came out the pods and been like, I ain't got this to do. He goofy. He want me to stand in the right light in order to get proposed to. He doesn't have any conversation. Like, I'm just not interested in him. How would people have perceived me being honest? What would they have called me? I think on this show you got to play the game. And Patrick is milking this game for everything he can, while Casey is sitting there suffering and he's saying, I'm on your side. So at the reunion, she ended up giving the ring back, but he kept saying, I need you to apologize. This is what I need you to say. I need you to say, Patrick, I handled it. No, no, you don't tell me what to say. I need you to take this opportunity This is your final opportunity before I blast your ass out there on social media and continue to play the victim. And I know what I'm saying is an unpopular opinion, but I have put myself in her shoes. What would I have done? How would I have been perceived if I had been on that show being honest and saying I'm not attracted to you and I don't want to go? She could have went to Mexico just like Joe did with Madison, just like Allie did with Anton, just like Megan did with Jordan. They could have tried to write and what's the other one's name with was it Nikki? These people went, Joe went all the way with Madison, knowing that Madison's body was not suitable for him, was not something he was attracted to. He said it on screen that he was not attracted to her, that he likes a smaller and petite women. People like what they like. Outside of Casey handling it incorrectly, right? And it being overly produced, in my opinion. She ain't do nothing wrong. She answered the question for herself. Is love blind? No, not when she saw him. She was like, this is unacceptable. I ain't gonna be able to do it. She did not take him to Mexico. She did not take him to the altar. I mean, hell, you mean to tell me that when child, what is it, KB saw Edmund, that she was when she was saying you so cute, he was goofy, his knees was up to his chest. But she took him all the way to the altar just to say what we all knew she was going to say. No. Patrick, you know, the universe has a way of doing things. It has a way of righting wrong. Patrick never brought that ring. The ring, he was so pressed to get back because of public opinion. This is my opinion. Allie was the only one that spoke up and said, I don't know what the issue is about this damn ring. He didn't pay for that ring, but he felt like this was what he needed to say. But like I said, the universe got a way of doing everything. And I'm telling y'all ain't gonna, I'm sure a lot of y'all not gonna like what I'm saying. And we'll totally disagree. We can agree to disagree. These are my opinions. You let me know what yours is downtown in the chat. They wouldn't play basketball. They had some basketball guy on there or whatever. After the basketball guy said, whoever wins, you get the ring back. You get the ring. Now, she had given Patrick the ring, but he still wanted an apology from her. You ain't getting no more apologies from me, mother. They play basketball and he loses. Guess what Patrick had to do? Give her the ring back. Did KB give her ring back? Did Allie give her ring back? How about Madison? Madison left it on the table, right? But what about the other girl? Did they get the rings back? Did they give the rings back? I think the only person that gave the ring back was Madison. Y'all let me know in the chat if I'm wrong. But everything that Patrick get, Patrick deserves. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. Because it's a game. This season had so much stuff that was revealed prior to the season. Patrick knew that he was not in love with Casey. He sat there on the show, and I don't know if people missed it, but Auntie didn't. And he said, I wanted us to establish who and what we were before we got with the rest of the cast members because they all wanted to get together. See, they was hanging out and doing the most. And he said, I wanted to get together and Madison and Casey said, I did not care whether or not people knew where we stood and where we didn't stand. He was doing all of this, in my opinion, for the show of it all. I don't think he ever cared for her. And I think that the universe made sure that he was exposed to those of us who can see past that whining. That Patrick never had it for Casey. He wanted to be on the show. He wanted to be with the crew. He has had so many interviews, and his story has always changed, in my opinion. It's always something new, something added. He wanted this, he got it. That is the risk of going on Love is Blind. So whatever comes out of it, point blank and period. I think at the end of the day, he wasn't honorable towards Casey. He found himself basking in the sunshine at her expense and at her demise. He could have easily covered her. If he really cared about her and he loved her, he wouldn't have milked all that sympathy and act like he was a victim. And I totally disagree with his position on everything. And you do not tell someone how to apologize. How many times does she have to apologize to him until he accepts the apology? And when you throw in a rock, don't hide your hand, Patrick. You can't get out on social media and say she was the side piece because people asked. He ended up he tweeted it, put that mess out there, and then he retrieved it. And his excuse was, I mean it. Casey said, no, you got people that ask you in your comment section overwhelmingly, then why did you propose? If she was the side chick, if she wasn't the main chick, you playing games like all the rest of them. And just because he sit up there and looks stupid, don't mean he is. I think that he was very strategic in what he was doing and wanting to go to Mexico to hang out with the guys to get whatever it is. I don't know what it is. It will come to light what it is. And I'm going to tell you, when it comes to light, I'm going to be right here making a video saying, I told you so. You can bet your last bottom dollar I'm going to be watching Patrick. Let's see if he's on the other show. There's a spinoff show that comes on after. Let's see if Patrick get on there and let's see how he act. Patrick is not a victim. He got exactly what he deserved. Love y'all. Bye.